On the morning of August 4th, 1892, the small town of Fall River, Massachusetts, awoke to a crime so gruesome, so shocking, that it would become one of the most infamous murders in American history. The victims were Andrew Borden and his wife, Abby. Andrew was a wealthy but stern man, known for being frugal despite his fortune. His second wife, Abby, had a tense relationship with Andrew's daughters, especially the younger one, Lizzie. Their home on 2nd Street seemed ordinary from the outside, but what happened within those walls turned it into a house of nightmares. That morning, the Borden household was unusually quiet. Lizzie claimed she had been ironing handkerchiefs in the dining room, while her stepmother went upstairs to make the bed in the guest room. At some point, Abby was ambushed. She was struck from behind with an axe. First one blow, then another, until 19 brutal strikes reduced her skull to fragments. Her body lay face down on the carpet, blood soaking into the floorboards. Hours later, Andrew returned home from errands. He settled onto the couch for a nap, unaware that death was waiting. With the same axe, he was attacked as he slept. The strikes were so violent that one eye was cleaved in half, the wounds so deep that neighbors later said his face was unrecognizable. The house was locked, nothing stolen, no intruder seen. Whoever committed the murders had been inside the home the entire time. All eyes turned to Lizzie. At 32, she was unmarried, unusual for a woman of her standing. She lived a life of tension, trapped under her father's control and harboring resentment toward her stepmother, Abby. Witnesses described Lizzie's demeanor after the murders as strange. She was calm, almost detached, as if the sight of her butchered parents stirred little emotion. When investigators questioned her, Lizzie's story shifted. At first, she claimed she was in the barn searching for iron. Later, she said she was in the house, upstairs. Then, downstairs again. Her alibis contradicted themselves. Suspicion grew heavier when a neighbor reported seeing her burning a dress days after the killings. Lizzie explained it was ruined with paint, but to many, it looked like she was destroying evidence. The trial that followed was a spectacle. Newspapers across the country fixated on the proper Christian woman, accused of one of the most brutal crimes imaginable. Could a refined Sunday school teacher really pick up an axe and swing it with such rage? Witnesses testified that Lizzie had tried to buy poison days before the murders. Others swore she was cold and emotionless throughout the proceedings, even smiling at times. But despite the suspicion, the evidence was weak. There was no blood on Lizzie when the bodies were discovered. The supposed murder weapon, a hatchet found in the basement, could not be definitively linked to her. And in the end, the jury, 12 men, could not accept that a well-bred woman of society was capable of such savagery. After just 90 minutes of deliberation, Lizzie was acquitted. She walked free, inheriting her father's fortune, though she remained an outcast for the rest of her life. But the story doesn't end there. The Borden House still stands today and has become one of the most infamous, haunted locations in America. Now operating as a bed and breakfast, brave guests can stay overnight in the very rooms where the murders occurred. And what they report is chilling. In the guest room where Abby was slaughtered, visitors have awakened to the feeling of someone standing over them. Some claim to see a shadowy figure bending close, as if replaying that morning again and again. Others hear footsteps pacing the upstairs hallway when no one is there. Doors open and slam shut without explanation. Cold drafts sweep across beds, and guests whisper of a woman's mocking laughter echoing in the night. In the parlor where Andrew's body was discovered, guests have described hearing faint groans or the sound of a body settling into the couch, just like he did moments before the axe fell. Paranormal investigators swear they've captured voices on tape, one of them clearly saying, "Lizzie did it." To this day, people debate Lizzie's guilt. Was she a cold blooded murderer who got away with the perfect crime, or an innocent woman forever stained by suspicion? One thing is certain, something dark still lingers in that house. Whether it's the restless spirits of Andrew and Abby crying out for justice, or Lizzie herself, trapped in the place where she became a legend. If you ever find yourself in Fall River, you can book a night at the Lizzie Borden House. But be warned, when the lights go out, you may not be alone. Listen closely, and you might hear it. The faint creak of footsteps on the stairs, the rustle of skirts in the hallway, and maybe, just maybe, whisper of an axe being dragged slowly across the floor.